We just heard that nice voice tell us recording is in progress. How you doing,
Yes, I heard that. This is my first Zoom thing, so.
Oh, is it really? Well, it's fun. I soften it with this.
My son does it from school and stuff, but he's on his way to youth group, so.
Oh, gotcha. So you're stealing his. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, he taught me it a little bit today, so.
All right, good. Well, you're doing just fine. And I know we talked maybe 90 seconds beforehand, and you have the ability to swivel a bit and show us some stuff that's better than you.
Well,
We
yes.
could be looking at, yeah, they're prettier than you are.
Well, look at the EVH I made up there.
Oh, look at that. That's fantastic. Hey, by the way, when I have to introduce you, I haven't even told anyone who you are. So this is Kevin Butts, a friend of the show from Killer Bee Guitars. And we've been working on getting the show together for a while. So thank you for joining us, by the way.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Oh, our pleasure. It's our pleasure. Thank you for being with us. And you are in the great, great town of Memphis, right?
Yes, I am. I'm outside of Memphis.
Okay.
You don't want to this. No, but Memphis is a great city. I've been here since '99.
Oh, okay. I'm a huge fan of BB King's.
Well, and I'm an artist that play there every weekend. So
wait, say that again. You broke up. You play there? You play there all the time?
I said, no, I know the artists that play there.
Well, I love their house band.
Yeah. Now, but I want to show you this real quick.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, this is, well, before I walk downstairs to get better Wi-Fi.
Yeah, give us the tour.
Steve Vai, Ingve Mustang, Nuna Court. I was at that show they did a while back in Nashville, and they all signed that guitar.
Wow.
Zach Wild.
That is amazing.
And I made a special trip to go see Living Color here in Memphis.
Wow. So you got Vernon Reid on there?
Yeah, I do. It's right there.
Wow.
And he made a comment to Zach Wild right there.
He said that? Who's Zach Wild?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was Zach Wild to Steve Vai. So,
okay.
But yeah. And then right after Eddie passed away, I decided to make that.
Oh, wow. Well, you know, it's
I already
interesting.
had the box.
We had the great, Vaccaro on the show, who actually built that guitar with Eddie. Henry Vaccaro was on our show.
Oh, wow. So and I missed one stripe.
But we did a whole show on how he was the owner of Kramer Guitars, and then meets Eddie through some very crazy circumstance, and went ahead, and after he built the legendary, the tuning fork aluminum neck guitar, which is one of my first guitars I ever owned back in the late 70s.
You owned one of those.
And I'm an idiot. I lost that. I traded it in, and I had a 68 12-string Fender Coronado that I sold for $125 because I'm an idiot.
Well, look.
Yeah.
Well, I've been making guitars for over 11 years. And before that, I sold and traded tons of guitars. So are you hearing me better now? Good.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
So,
yep.
Good. So I did that as a kid. I actually lived in South Korea for 2 years.
Where did you live? South
Korea.
Really?
Hold on. I'm gonna move. Okay. We're gonna move down.
Okay. No rush. I'm covered. So I'm good.
This is, I don't know why this is bad.
Well, look, we got our tour. You know, yeah.
Well,
We
I'm
got to
going
see your
down
cool
to I'm going down to my office, my other office.
Okay.
Well, I have a workshop
Cool.
too. So,
Oh
but
yeah.
I don't want to. I'm not going to get into that tonight. I'll send you videos of that later if you want to show it.
Oh, that'll be, yeah. Maybe we'll get some, as those in the industry call it B-roll, which I've learned.
Right.
So we can do some B-roll of that. I try to sound like an insider, but I come off as a nerd. But
it's all good, man. But no,
Yeah.
now here I am in. But let me do one thing real quick. I'll be right back. Hold on a second.
no rush, no rush. Hey, by the way, while he's out there, let me say something to everyone. Check this out. Alexa, play Guitar Tales with Dave Cohen. Alexa, stop. Then you could also say, hey Siri, play Guitar Tales with Dave Cohen. And then she will put it on.
Play podcast Guitar Tales with Dave Cohen on Apple Podcasts.
So what you guys can do, if you would like to see our show, Scott Guitarmacist Engel has put it all over social media. And if you're dumb like I am have to say, just talk to your smartphone, talk to your iPad, and ask to see Guitar Tales with Dave Cohen, and you will get all of our podcasts. What I also learned, I have one of those newfangled remotes for my Comcast television, which is also where we're on cable now. And if you talk to it, you could actually ask for the Kevin Butts episode once this airs, and it will not only take you to our show if you mention YouTube or some of the other channels we're on, it'll take you right to Kevin's show. So do that. Off to do. That's what I meant to say. Like I'm off to do. All right, let's see. So you're in your office now.
I'm in my second bedroom.
Oh, that sounds perfect. That sounds good now.
2 offices, but my son ruined it. Teenager. He took all my stuff out. That's where I did my final assemblies and the guitars and stuff on the table. And my son, my table.
That's funny. Well, kids will do that. Kids do all sorts of fun stuff. I just solved my $500 Venmo issue right before the show started, and I know the culprit. And the culprit is my offspring. But at least I solved it.
Well, my son wrecked his car on my birthday and anniversary. 21 years of marriage, February 14th, he wrecked his car, totaled it, ran into a parked car.
Oh my God, that's what kids do. But that's what we did. We made our parents' lives miserable, so it's their job to do it to us.
I know, right?
Right? Yeah, I mean, it's definitely what we do, so we get it done to us. So I want to go backwards a little bit right now. So you said you've been building guitars for about 11 years. So let's go back farther, because I don't think you're as old apart as I am, but you're not a kid either. So you're
46.
Yeah, you're young. I'm 57, almost 58. So yeah, I'm an old fart. You're a young fart. So when did you start playing? I assume you're a guitar player, right?
I started playing when I was about 9, 10 years old. Okay. And my dad bought my first guitar, and I still have that first guitar upstairs.
What was it? It
was a Yamaha SE 230. Baby sky blue. Now, when my dad bought it for me, it was not working properly. So I took it to a guitar tech to get it fixed. So yeah, so I had an EMG Select put in it, and it just did not sound very good, so I was like, all right, I fixed it, we got it working. It only has a volume knob and a 3-way toggle on it.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right, well, fine, but at least get it working properly so I could learn how to play it, and then I did that. And then my dad bought me a Epiphone Sheraton, the BB King style Epiphone.
Oh
version.
yeah, yeah, like an ES sort of looking guitar, right?
Yeah, big old hollow body. You know, that was
Yep.
my guitar. And and when I moved to Memphis back in '99, I hired a couple guys to do some work for me, and I'm just going to be honest, it wasn't that good. And so I decided
Right.
to learn. I'm a diesel mechanic, motorcycle mechanic, diesel mechanic, car mechanic, that kind of stuff. That's
You
what I
can
do.
build shit. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I can make a guitar from or a motorcycle from scratch if you want me to, but I don't want to, but I could.
Right.
So I decided to learn how to do this on my own. So back in 2000, with actually 2003, I was messing with the idea of stuff. And then I decided to start making my own guitars. I said, you know what? I can do this. But I took some Squires first,
Right.
but the Squires I made, they're their main guitars now. These
Really?
are guys that play every weekend. And
That's amazing.
I learned how to rewire them. I learned how to do, but it took me about 3 years to learn how to paint well.
Right. Now, were you building necks right out of the gate, or were you buying the necks and building the bodies?
I was buying the necks in the original, but neck building, when you work two jobs, it's kind of hard to do that too. I do the bodies.
Yeah.
And then so now the guitar behind you, real quick. What's that guitar behind your head?
That's your new buddy, Chuck Wilson. We didn't even pay you to say this. So, so this one is one of my bootleggers. This is, I think we're called the single barrel.
Okay.
And you got the P90 over here and the single, regular, more traditional single coil there. But what started the whole Chuck Wilson and bootlegger relationship was this. I got this bootlegger, which is gorgeous and really nice and heavy, with a couple of P90s. I got it on Facebook Marketplace from a guy who was in trouble with his wife because he had too many guitars. And I kid you not. And
it happens a lot.
Yeah. And I fell in love with the guitar, and just on a whim, I just looked up bootlegger, found Chuck in Hermosa Beach near LA, called him, we became friends. And now Scott, I think, as you know, he's an endorser. And now you have something which I confirmed. Scott was able to text Chuck. We could even talk about it a little later, that you're working on an alliance with Chuck.
I had to move rooms, so I'll get them in a minute, but I will.
Yeah.
But yes, no, Chuck is a really great guy, and he is fantastic. And we haven't really collaborated officially, you know what I mean? But I would like to talk to him about something that might, I couldn't do being a guy behind his house. I make a electroacoustic that would be a really cool guitar. I made it.
Nice.
I made it before Fender did. 2 years before Fender released that new Teleacoustic.
Right.
2 years beforehand.
So, that's wonderful.
But I can't, I just don't have the finances to do that. And I had 2 patent designs that I was trying to get out, but unfortunately I didn't have the $4,000 to do the patent. But we're getting off track here. But yes, so I started making guitars because I took it to a very, very reputable guitar repair guy. He started a very big company here in Memphis. You've heard of St. Blues Guitars. I don't know if you have or not.
Yep.
Yeah. I painted their guitars for about 2 years. I worked with the guys that worked there. And they just ran into a really hard time. COVID really hurt all of us.
Yeah.
That's why I shut my website down. So you only find Killer B on Facebook, because I'm not going to pay the fees for the website every year when I never actually sold the guitar on the website. I sold it on Facebook. I sold it word of mouth. Johnny Comp, Scott Engel, John DeGroff, the original bass player for Petra from the 70s. He's my cousin.
Wow.
I made him a guitar, and I made him a bass guitar, 6-string. And then I made a guitar for the other Petra bass player from the 80s. I made him one that they won a Grammy Award that year. So
Wow.
that was a really good year. And I'm hoping, and to let you work with them later on. So,
Yeah.
But I got tired of buying guitars at Guitar Center or a guitar shop, and they just were nasty. They were dirty. I mean, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be, Guitar Center, no, they need to clean their guitars. Plain and simple.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
You have to set them up. You have to clean them before you sell it to a customer. Plain and simple.
Right.
That's what started me on this path about 11, 12 years ago, and I just got tired of it. I said, you know what? I can do this. So I sold my motorcycle stand. I was working on bikes at home, motorcycles at home. I sold all my motorcycle stuff. And I bought woodworking equipment, and I started watching videos, learning how to work on guitars, and I can fret level. I do a lot of repair work too. I help other peers in Memphis. We have some awesome guys here in Memphis. I mean, it's a big city, a lot of guitar players.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
And so
everywhere you go.
Right. And I help them out. So, when they need custom routing, they come to me, because
Right.
I had the equipment for that. They're luthier. The term luthier is very, I guess, universal.
Yep.
But it comes down to, a luthier makes the guitar from scratch. A repair guy repairs it. So I call me a luthier. So I actually make the guitar from scratch. I do all. Now I've made a few necks over the years, but I found out I guess 5 years ago, before COVID, about 3.5 years ago, I was making some necks, but I found it more beneficial to order the necks.
Right.
I don't get the frets put in them. I put them in, so I can live.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I can still call it American made, USA made. And I got them from, unfortunately, the Ukraine.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
They were not Chinese necks. They were not cheap Chinese necks. They were very quality Ukraine made necks. And this guy has been doing this a long time, and he makes really good necks. And I can adjust them or modify them my way, So I'll use for like a really thick, like Gibson, the old Gibson neck, big fat neck.
Yep.
I'll sand it down to where I want it to be,
Oh,
so
okay.
Work, and then I fret level the frets, and I put jumbo frets on it, or I like to use brass alloy frets.
And what about the will you keep it maple, or will you put rosewood on, or does it come like that?
It depends. No, I do ebony, rosewood, and maple. I do all three, and I've done Purple Heart necks. I've done a lot of custom work.
Right.
I like Paulownia, not Paulownia. I'm sorry, Paduk wood. It's a very.
What's that?
It's just a really hard dark wood, and it looks beautiful. There's a lot of really cool looking necks out there, but at the same time, if it's not done right, it won't last.
Right.
And I learned that years ago. So I spent about 3.5 years learning how to paint. I spent 3.5, 4 years learning how to make guitars properly. And that's what I did. I did that for 11 years now. And I just, some of my guitars were played by, Scott Gaylor, the premier guitar that was on your show in the very first show.
Mm-hmm.
I made that
I want to
guitar.
talk about the Stinger is gorgeous. And you mentioned, learning how to paint. I've seen that guitar like at Scott's house, not just the one time on the show. That paint job, dare I say, is killer.
Now, I'll be honest, I didn't actually paint that one. That was before I learned how to paint. And I had somebody airbrush the flames on it. But that was my design completely. I wanted a yellow and black flames.
It's gorgeous, that guitar.
Well, Killer Bee, I wanted it to be like a bumblebee.
Yeah, right. And it's great.
It's a fantastic guitar. And I made a second sister to that guitar. I actually I went to another musician later on. But I don't know where it's at right now. Haven't found out yet. So
now let me ask you this, because if I know this, I forgot. So how did you? Well, let me ask you this. So when you hooked up with Scott, were you in Memphis or somewhere else?
No, I've been in Memphis the whole time
since '99. So how did you and Memphis connect with Scott up in Jersey?
Johnny Compton.
What a great.
No, actually, take that back. Rosario Panzarella,
who's also been on our show. He's wonderful.
Yes. I still have a lot of his strings, and I still use them all the time. But
he worked so hard on those strings. He put such love into those strings.
He and I are when I was doing this full time, when I was like really trying to put effort into it, he was my biggest supporter.
That's great.
Him and Jack Harrison from the Gear Guys show. But him and Jack had a little falling out. But at the same time, Rosario and I and Jack, we're all still friends. I still talk to both of them. And
great.
They're really cool guys. Rosario went a different direction, which is cool. And he's doing what's best for him, just like me. I stopped trying to focus on guitars and deal with my take care of my family, take care of that. But Rosario and I are still very, very close friends. And Scott,
he's a neat guy, very neat guy.
Oh, dude, he's the best. You got Scott Engel, Johnny Compton.
Scott, I don't know. Scott, he's okay.
Scott's a great guy, though. And he, what's funny, real quick anecdote. My best friend's a pharmacist.
Oh, that's great.
So when I talk to both of them, it's funny.
Now I got one for you. So you said, you put together that electric acoustic right before Fender did. In Scott's, hopefully in his house somewhere, because I've lost mine. In Scott's house somewhere is a cassette tape of my band with him called The Cure, which we named before The Cure existed. And it's just handwritten on the cassette tape, The Cure, and it ever so slightly precedes them. I did a little Google search. I think we came up with it in 77 or 78, and I think they were 78 or 79, but we're first. So we were The Cure before The Cure was The Cure, except we sucked, and they didn't.
I didn't like The Cure, so
they're not my kind of band. In all honesty, they're successful. I don't like that style personally, but they did something right because they got pretty successful. But it's I don't like that sort of flowy kind of stuff. I like a little more hard rock myself.
Well, it comes down to timing on
when
you get your deal or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they were in the right place at the right time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the guitar player Randall Rawlings. I worked with him. He actually played with Sebastian Bach.
Oh wow!
After he left Skid Row. I've made 4 guitars, a 7-string, a 6-string, and wrong place, wrong time.
Right.
And that's how the music industry was. You have to be in the right place at the right time. I know tons of musicians in Memphis. Oh, Eric Gales. You know Eric Gales, right? The blues player.
Yep.
So his cousin Chris lives here in Memphis, and I've worked on his guitars before. We did a TV show one time, Live at 9.
Okay.
And he was my lead singer and lead guitar player. Well, I sat back there and looked like an idiot playing rhythm.
Right.
I'm not that good of a player. I do my best, but
Right.
he is fantastic. He plays mostly at Jerry Lawler's barbecue place. Jerry Lawler, the wrestler.
Yep.
It's his restaurant.
He's the guy who slapped Andy Kaufman.
Right.
Right.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So he plays at his restaurant mostly during the days, but he's been playing Rum Boogie Cafe. You've heard of that place,
Okay.
right? Rum Boogie.
No, I'm sure I've been there because I've been in every bar in Memphis, literally on Beale Street. Like it's literally one of my favorite towns.
Well, Rum Boogie's the one that has the guitars hanging off the ceilings.
I'm sure I've been there.
Well, and there's a killer bee hanging on that wall.
Is there really?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Well, Patrick Dodd, that was on The Voice.
Yeah.
I worked with him when he got off The Voice, and when his contract was over, I got to work with him. And then I was able to work with him. So he signed it, and another lady from The Voice signed it, and it's hanging up in the Rum Boogie Cafe. So
that's great.
Cool little things, just little accolades.
That's good stuff. This is what I've found because we've had a few luthiers and creatives on, and it doesn't take that much to just sort of fill your soul. Make like Johnny Compton. He was in Guitar Player magazine, and it was like one of the highlights of his life he talked about.
Me and Rosario helped with that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, and then I got him in Vintage Guitar magazine too.
You might have talked about that. Okay.
Yeah, Mark Strings and we got together and I worked with Vintage Guitar magazine. There's actually an article in an old Vintage Guitar magazine about Killer Bee guitars.
That's fantastic.
Vintage Guitar magazine is the only company that doesn't charge you for doing an ad or a review.
Really?
So I sent the guitar, he reviewed it, he did an honest review of it, sent it back. And it was free, didn't cost me a dime.
Wow.
And so, the other companies, I'm not going to say the names of the magazines, but the other magazines want to charge you for reviews. And I'm like,
right. It's like a vanity piece,
right.
It's like you pay to write a book or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're paying for something. And I was like, no, I'm not paying for a review. You need to review my guitar honestly. And they did. And it was a great article. And I have a great framed picture of it. But now, on the courtesy of the article, I did pay for an ad. But I got with Fine York.
Well, that makes sense, though. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, but I didn't have to, but I did. No,
it's the right thing to do. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
by the way, Johnny has a CD coming out, I think, within a week.
Oh, really?
Yep. With his band. Yeah, it's Amos Steele, I think is his band, right?
Yeah, that's one of his band. He's in like 4.
Okay. But they have a CD coming out. I think it's within about a week. But he gushed about, just it really from the heart, talking about how it made him feel as a musician to be in Guitar Player magazine. And I didn't know you yet, but he was thanking people, so I'm guessing he was thanking you, and probably Rosario. But just he was so grateful for that. It's not, no one bought him a yacht or anything like that, but he got professional recognition from his peers for doing something well, just like you having, you've got a guitar hanging, in one of the greatest blues towns in the country, and you have wonderful musicians playing your guitars, and that's got to make you feel good.
Oh, it does. It makes me feel fantastic. And I just since COVID though, it's just been a downhill slide since then. I work with Scott Gaylor, Scott Engel, the Petra guys. I've worked with so many, and I was never marketing famous people. You know,
Right,
I want
right.
to work with the working man musician, and that was my goal. And that's what
That's
bootleg,
fantastic.
and that's what
Oh
bootleg,
yeah.
you know,
Yep.
they're doing guitars that are quality made, and it comes down to I wanted to do it because I enjoyed it. I wasn't,
Yep.
I mean, luthiers out there that charge what, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 or more for their guitars.
Yep.
It doesn't cost that much to make a guitar, but I have no overhead because I have a shop behind my house. So
Right.
you know,
And how nice is it if someone gets one of your guitars, they know who built it?
right.
Like, how cool is that?
And I personally talk to every customer, I always have. I will never build a guitar unless I talk to you. And even sometimes I'll be like, wait, what we decided to do? You know?
Right.
But at the beginning, it was overloading for a one-man shop doing everything.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
and that's why I started getting the next brought in, but I still did majority of the work. You know what I mean? And America's laws, you have to be a percentage of American made. And they
I
work.
see. Right.
Yeah, American laws to be able to claim USA made, you have to have a percentage. Well,
Interesting.
yeah, so that's the American law, to be claiming USA made, to be able to put that on the guitar, or which I didn't do that. I just put my name or just Killer Bee, nothing big. I never, but inside the guitars, it's handwritten. When I made the guitar, my signature's in there. And I bet you anything, there's blood and sweat on most of them. So
yeah, literally, right.
Yes.
That's funny. When I got married, when I got married, my old singer and I, we played Jumpin' Jack Flash. We borrowed the guitar from the Good band. And when I handed the guitar back to the horrified guitarist, the white pick guard was just pure red. Because when I play, I just sort of scrape my finger a little bit. And then with the pressure, I literally, this poor guy, I bloodied up his entire guitar. And until I handed it to him, the strings were red, the pick guard was red. I have the video somewhere, and it's horrible. But yeah, I literally just completely bloodied up his entire guitar.
But you know, you're bringing up Jumpin' Jack Flash. Now,
I saw you react to that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, see, Jumpin' Jack Flash, when I was in middle school, my brother was in high school, there was a band that played at the high school talent show or something. Jumpin' Jack Flash was the song, and that was my first inspiration to really focus on guitar.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so this dude was fantastic, and I don't remember his name, but this was back in 1980 something. Right. Yeah. But that inspired me. And so my dad had bought me and my brother guitars when we were younger and put them up in the attic, and they ended up warping and getting messed up. My brother dropped guitar completely. I went up the attic when my brother's full size nylon string acoustic. I pulled it down.
Right.
I started playing it. My dad bought me my guitar, you know.
That's really fantastic. And that's an attainable song for a young guitar player to at least get by on it. You know, to do well is a whole different thing, but to just, to get the basic chords down, it's not the hardest song in the world.
No, it's a fun song to play. And it's easy to play. It's a great bar song. It's a great, everyone knows it,
Yeah.
But see, I grew up with Passion and Warfare.
Okay.
Steve Vai's second album. Flexible was his first one. Passion and Warfare was his second. And I've been trying to learn how to play. I can't do it.
Well, he's a whole different level.
Yeah, it's Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, I can't play that stuff. I try, But I grew up with that. But I did get a legacy amplifier. I probably saw it with a picture when I was moving around.
I did see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I finally got that. I actually bought that from Johnny Compton.
Did you really?
He gave me a great deal on it, but unfortunately FedEx didn't pack it properly, shipped it, and it got tumbled around, blew up
And
a
it's a
tube.
Oh, wow.
Fried the circuits on the tube. So
Oh, God.
just had it fixed, and it's awesome. Luckily, a friend of mine was able to get a new circuit board for it, so it's fixed and it's playing awesome.
Oh, that's great. He is a guy, I got to tell you, like we did one Zoom show. I've never met him, but I met him like you and I have met. It's similar to really meeting in person. He is a guy who just exudes positivity. He's such a good, warm guy.
Well, see, a few years back, Johnny, I surprised him. I helped put on a Guitars for Vets show a few years in West Virginia. Me and my wife on our way to the mountains over on the east side of Tennessee. So we decided to stop by, and I helped put this show on a little bit. We did t-shirts. I did a bunch of stuff for it. I got a couple different bands to help playing the show and stuff like that. Of course, some were a little heavier than others and kind of freaked some people out, but
that's funny.
I actually showed up. I didn't tell Johnny I was coming, and I showed up.
That's great.
To meet Johnny and a couple other guys that I've been working with for a while, and it was a great show. We had a great time, and I was able to meet Johnny in person. When you make guitars in Tennessee, you don't get to meet your guitar people.
Right, you're not in New York or LA where you don't have walk. You probably can have walk-ins, but you're not in a population center.
I did. Honestly, I've sold more guitars outside of Tennessee than in Tennessee.
Yeah, because even though there's a ton of musicians in Nashville and Memphis, it's still not a densely populated area.
Right. No, exactly. And so I've sold guitars to Hawaii. I sold one to England. The shipping alone was just a lot.
Oh my God! Yeah.
As long as they agreed to it, I was fine with it. So, but I got to hang out with Johnny. Why am I blanking on his name right now?
Johnny Compton.
Well, no, the other guy I was working with.
You told me. I'm blanking too, and you told me that. Was it Anderson? No.
This was a show we did for Guitars for Vets. It was Violence and Ascension was the heavy metal band that was really hardcore. Johnny's band was heavy, but they're used to it. They were playing there all the time. And then the other band, give me a minute, I'll remember it. But
right.
But it was a good show. We had a good time. But I got to surprise all of them by saying, "Hey, Killer Beast here." They're all playing my guitars. Bass players, guitar players, they're all playing my stuff. And
that's great. So you make basses too. I don't know if I realized that.
Yeah, no, I make 4-string, 5 strings. I did make 1 6-string for the John DeGroff, the original bass player for Petra back in 1970s.
Wow, so you made a 6-string bass for him?
Yes, he's actually my.
Right, you mentioned it. You're right.
He's married to my cousin.
Gotcha. All right.
And then I made it. Well, before that, I made a 5-string for the. On the moment, you can't remember names, but
I'm just. Look, I'm going to show you something because I do the same thing. Right here, if the light threads it, there's your name. I've been on radio and stuff like this for 20 years, and I have to write down the name of my guest or I'll forget their name. Right. I don't have to write down anything else, but names, they leave my head immediately. Like I struggled with Henry Vaccaro's first name. I kept saying Vaccaro a few minutes ago with you, and then I remembered it was Henry. So, and I just I tried to fake it, and then it probably was pretty obvious. But yeah, so I think that's pretty normal.
No, this is, if you're not used to this, I mean, I've done a lot of audio interviews, but never a Zoom video, and
okay. You're doing great, by the way.
I hope so. Well, Scott told me to stay on tack.
No, yeah, we go. I don't agree. No, you can't. Yeah, go everywhere. We go everywhere on this show because really the whole concept, just a couple of folks just sitting around chatting about music and instruments and stuff like that. It's music and gear and people. That's what it is.
And so getting back to that.
Yeah. Now I really pulled you off.
No. I'm going to go back to guitars because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And the main reason I got into guitars because I was tired of buying cheap guitars in a store or an expensive guitar that wasn't set up properly.
Right.
I'm not going to, I said the name once, I'm not going to say it again, but if you have a guitar in your store, it needs to be set up. It needs to be played right when it leaves the store. End of story. And I've had so many guitars, it's not even funny. And Dave Mustaine, Dean, the cheap Chinese version of Dave Mustaine, one of his signature guitars with United Abandon logo on it. And I picked it up for a really good steal. But I rewired it, put new pickups in it. I set it up. It's one of the best playing guitars in my house.
And that's the thing. Yeah. And if you take someone like me, like I'm a reasonably handy person, but I'm not that handy. Like you talk about building a motorcycle from the ground up. I had a 50cc mini bike and I installed a new leaf spring in it and a new gasket. Like the leaf spring for the starter. But so I can do a little bit, but I can't do what you do. So if I buy a guitar, it's living like that with me until I no longer own it, other than changing the strings. And maybe I'll play with the truss rod a little bit if I feel like I could fix the action a bit, and that's it. I don't have that skill set. Now, like these two behind me, how do I know that they were set up? Because the one I bought new, that one right there, I have the video on Facebook of Chuck saying, here's Dave's guitar. He tested it because he does that, like he literally will do for everyone's guitar. He'll do like a little 60-second video. But the other guitars I've had over the years, if I buy them new, the way they end up in my house, that's it. It never changes because I'm not a real musician. I'm a weekend at best guitar player. So when I buy, the predecessor, the Sam Ash or whatever, I'm even before Guitar Center, whatever they did or didn't do to that guitar, that's the way it will always be in my life until I no longer own it because I'm not a professional, And that's not just for good or for bad. It's for bad. That's how it's going to be. So I appreciate what you're saying.
Well, yeah, like Sweetwater, they run it through a total test. I've worked with Sweetwater for a lot of years, and they're from Indiana. I'm from Indiana, so my salesman calls me every month, checking on me, see what I want to buy new. I'm like, I make my own stuff, but dude, I don't need anything. But
right.
But I'm like, but when they ship out a guitar, it's perfect. If it's not, you send it back and they will fix it.
That's great.
You buy a guitar from a certain shop, if it's not right from the get-go, you shouldn't have it.
Right. Well, go on. You go first.
No. Well, a real quick story. I was in a large music store. I won't say the name because I don't want.
Right.
And I was sitting there testing a Black Star amplifier. They handed me this 1970 reissue Gibson Les Paul.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm looking at the finish. It was just, then I learned how to finish at that point, how to paint a guitar properly. Yeah. I was like, there was overspray on the binding, orange peel on the headstock, and they still wanted 10 grand for it.
Wow.
And I'm like, I said, dude, I played it for like 2 seconds. I said, no, give me that $200 Ibanez right over there. Right. I'm like, give me Ibanez well, I don't know, RG, give me the Ibanez RG, because back in my day it was ES, back in the, and I was just like, I'm not playing this piece of junk.
That's really interesting.
Why would you hand me a $10,000 guitar? Which he knows I can handle it, but I'm like, the thing was horrible. And I'm like, and they're still asking 10 grand for it. It was a
And
reissue.
someone's going to write that check.
Yeah,
Who doesn't
somebody,
know better?
oh, they sold
If
it. I know they did.
Yeah. Well, I thought of a parallel to that. So in high school, I have a buddy who worked at the local bike shop. So if you go to Dick's, or if you go to some big, store, and you buy a nice bike for, $500 bike, $1,000 bike, it's not set up. But
Not
you buy
properly.
it from, right. You could ride it, but there's a lot to it. You've got, 12 to 18 gears on the newer bikes. You've got to true the wheels. You know this because you build stuff. You have that little tool that you turn on every single spoke to get your wheels true.
Yep.
And I used to know how to do that a little. I built one wheel in my life. I did actually build a wheel for a bike, with every single spoke and all that thing. And it's not easy, but
No,
the bike's, and the bike's the same thing. You can have a $2,000 bike. If it's not set up, it's not a $2,000 bike.
no,
It's just a bike. Yeah.
It's what you can buy. I bought my son I have the same Schwinn I had back in college.
Really? Yeah.
Oh,
They
awesome.
built them. They're built solid. They're about 1,000 pounds, but
Before they sold out at Walmart.
Yeah. Well, they
Oh,
weren't built to be light, but they're solid.
No,
Yeah.
but my original one was a 1970s Schwinn 5-speed with the
That's pretty cool. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's probably worth money at this point. In a
Well,
weird
that's
way.
gone. That's gone now. But my Schwinn was 1995, and it was made right because I bought it from a bike shop at the college campus.
Right.
If I was from Walmart, or I shouldn't say names, but you buy it from the big box stores.
Yep.
They're not done right. My son.
They're not even done. They're not even done.
No, you have to tighten everything up.
Yeah.
It's like guitars. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. If you want to say I've got a quality guitar, but if you don't put good components in it, what's the point?
Right. You know what you just made me think of? For a while, I had a really nice 78 Strat. And one thing I've always hated about the Strats, there was two things. The way I play, I felt like the top pot, and I don't remember if the pot closest to the strings is a tone or a volume pot. So what I did with my Strat, this is in high school, I took out that pot and I rewired it so I was willing to live with the two remaining pots. But the other thing I did is that, that little recessed area where you put your 1/4-inch jack in?
Yeah.
You can't fit your fingers in there. So I reversed it and made it like a bubble coming out of the guitar so you could grip your 1/4-inch jack better.
Oh, so you did it the other way. Nice.
Yeah, and I know, like, I think I had to do something to ground it with tin foil on the inside where all the pickups are, which is probably not exactly the way it should have been. But I know when I would get guitars, I would do stuff like that.
Well,
But,
aluminum foil will work.
It won't. All right, that's what I did. But
it will work. Copper tape is better, but aluminum foil will.
Right. Yeah. I used to do that with guitars. Yeah.
Yeah. See, when I make a guitar, I got tired of dealing with the copper tape, taping off the cavities and stuff. So I use that dielectric paint.
Oh, okay.
And I painted all the cavities up really hard, really well. And then when I did a tremolo system, I double grounded it. I ground it on the tremolo, but I also ground the body as well. But I used a dielectric paint.
Oh, that's not going to fail the way, if you have stuff going on and you have just a little break in the tin foil or the better version, you're not grounded anymore.
Right, exactly. And that so I eliminated that because I'm making the guitars myself. So I get to decide how I design it. And I've seen guys that are awesome at putting that copper tape in, but I don't have patience for that. I'd rather just paint it in 3 coats. I'm done.
Now, have you ever tried your hand at building a pickup from the ground up?
No, and that's, I'm gonna plug my friend Dylan from Dylan
Okay.
Pickup. Back early on, about 7 or 8 years ago, I met Dylan, or I found Dylan online, and we designed a pickup together. And one of my
Really?
guitars, some of my guitars, it's called the Killer Blade. It's like a Dimebucker, but modified. You know,
Okay.
because Seymour Duncan, they were getting so expensive, and it was just getting ridiculous.
Right.
And I was not willing to pay the prices. So I talked to Dylan and we designed this pickup, and it turned out fantastic.
Oh,
Problem
that's
is,
great.
it was too hot for most people. You know?
Okay.
It was
Okay.
like a Dimebucker. A Dimebucker is a very hot pickup. I mean, it is a very
I
hot
don't know about Dimebuckers. So what is a Dimebucker?
Dimebucker is a Seymour Duncan makes them, and they're a blade
Okay.
pick. You know, Dimebag Darrell.
Oh, okay.
Dimebag Darrell. Yeah.
Right. The one who died in that fire, right?
No, he was shot.
Oh.
Dimebag was the one that was assassinated.
Who? Right. Right. Who was the one who died in that fire up in New England? I thought it was anyway. I thought it was him, but I remember he died about probably now like 10 years ago, right?
No, this was longer than that. Dimebag died
Was it?
long.
Oh, all right. All right. So go
He
on.
was
So he.
But anyways, he designed a pickup that was fantastic. And I decided I wanted to modify it just a little bit. And so
Okay.
when I design a pickup, I tell my winder, if I have it custom made, I have it winded on one side hotter than the other side. So when you
Okay.
cold tapping, when you cold tap a pickup, right?
No. No.
Cold tapping is when you take a humbucker pickup and
Yeah.
you switch between the two pickups.
Oh, I know about this. Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. And so what we did is we designed it to wired one side hotter than the other. So when you cold tap it, you don't lose the volume on your amplifier.
Okay. That's smart. That's really smart.
Yeah. So we designed that. And unfortunately, it didn't, you know, Johnny Compton's used them. Scott's used them.
That's where I know about it from Scott. Yeah.
I think Scott's used them before. And then, because it's in that Stinger, I think. No,
Yeah.
that's got DiMarzio's in it. That's got really hot DiMarzio's in it. But I've done a couple other guitars over the years with those pickups. And because when you cold tap a guitar and you hit that toggle or pull your pot,
Yeah.
your volume falls on
It's
its
going to go
face.
way down. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you make it hotter on one side, but still balance the pickup so it's in humbucker mode, it's okay.
Now, let me ask you this. So to make it hotter, are you coiling more wire on the magnet? Or are you using a heavier magnet?
I think heavier winding, and this is where I'm going to tell you to contact Dylan about that, because
Yeah.
Dylan will tell you more, because he's
I'm
been
fascinated by this.
he this is stuff that, you know, lace pickups, and I don't want to really plug them too much. I don't use them anymore, but I worked with lace when I first started.
Right.
Lace pickups, if you remember, Eric Clapton used them on the gold on his Strat. Okay. He had the gold series, and then they started making a blue and a red and a purple and a blue, and this. Every coil was wound differently,
Okay.
hotter or softer. And I actually made a guitar one time that literally had 32 different sounds.
That's really impressive.
I had two humbuckers and a single coil, and I accessed everything I could on it. And I was able to, you know, get every pickup. So you could literally play your bridge pick, the humbucker, your bridge side, your middle side, your neck middle, and your neck bridge, your neck.
Any combination you want. So really you had as many humbuckers as you had that many single coils also that you could have any combination to create. You could create a humbucker from two divergent single coils.
Yes.
That's right.
Because they wired them, and that's what gave me the idea. So when I asked Dylan to make me the pickup, I said, I want you to wire the bridge side hotter. And we worked on that. When we was talking, it was more him than me because he's the pickup maker.
Right.
And we worked that out. So every time I ordered a pickup from him, I said, I want it to be cold tapped, but I don't want it to fall on its face. So he wound the other side hotter than the other side. But in the end, it balanced.
It's great. Now, you know what's funny? Like, the reason why I'm fascinated by this is I looked it up, but I don't remember now. I want to say maybe like 1930, 1935. Some really brilliant person thought, if I take a magnet, wrap a bunch of wires around it, the vibration of the electric strings will create a signal that I could turn into music. And some brilliant person about 90, 100 years ago thought of that. And here we are in 2022, and you're talking about the nuances of adding just a little more coil around your magnet or magnets to create a hotter signal to balance out with the other signal. Like, think of where it's come since then.
Right. Now,
but the original technology is just brilliant. Who would have thought that in a world of all acoustic instruments?
Well, that was Mr. Gibson, Leo, or
was it Gibson? Was he the very first to create the pickup?
Was the very first that created the electric pickup. I think not 100%.
Yeah.
Fender, but Leo Fender couldn't play guitar to save his life. So
right. Yeah, right. But Gibson played a mean guitar.
Yeah, no, he was fantastic. But and this is something that I'm going to refer you to Dylan on this.
Yeah.
He can tell you more, but I will give you one last thing on pickups.
Yeah.
Lace pickups, like I said, Eric made him famous back in the 80s with his Black Beauty. They went to auction for what, like $50,000, $60,000, but probably more. It probably went for 1.5 million. But he worked with them back then. But Lace Pickups designed a new pickup made out of aluminum with two little sticky magnet strips and a very little coil about this big.
Okay.
I'll send you a picture on this, but I used them for the first, when I worked with another company that I won't say the name again, that I was helping design a guitar with. I used the Lace Alumitone pickups. They're very unique, but they are the hottest, cleanest pickup in the world. They really are. And no offense to my friend Dylan, who makes great pickups, and Seymour Duncan, DiMarzio, they all make great pickups. But this literally, when I use the bass version in David Griffin's bass, he plays for this band called the Bouffons. He plays for other bands here in Memphis too. He's a very talented bass player that you call up and say, hey, I need you to come play. He'll go, what key? And he shows up and plays. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So,
yeah, right. One of those level musicians.
Yeah. So I made him two basses. And every time he goes to a show, the sound guy's like, this is amazing.
Right.
Your bass is fantastic. You know what I mean? And combination of the wood I used probably, and I used alder with spalted maple, a very beautiful, beautiful bass. And then I made him one before that. He traded his Ernie Ball Music Man to me to get the first one. And I worked with him since. He won't play any other bass but a Killer B, unless it's in a studio and they say you have to play this Fender.
Right.
Which studios do that a lot. They're like, no, you got to play this one. But he refuses to play anything else. And it is a great design, but the looks freak people out because it's aluminum. It's, it's water jetted. They're made with water jets.
Oh, wow.
So
that's really cool. I'm going to need that picture. I'll need that picture. That's really
I'll
cool.
have to send it to you. But
so, I'm going to jump in now. as is the case with our show, it feels like we've been chatting 10 minutes, and I think we've been going about an hour now. And now that we're on cable, we have to do about 56 minutes or so. So let me wind us down, because I could go 2 more hours with you, but I can't now. Now that we're on cable, we actually have we have to work within certain time signatures, including the bad word I said in the middle of the show that we'll have to bleep out.
I'm sure there's a
Scott
word
warned
to
me. Yeah, Scott warned me not to curse, and I only screwed up once tonight.
He
So
told me not to. I've been very good.
Yeah, unlike me. So the best place to find your stuff, I know from the content of the show, but I want to sort of pull us to the end now. Facebook is the best place to find you.
Facebook now, because since COVID, I shut the website down because
People. I was shopping for stuff on Facebook Marketplace before we went on tonight. Like Facebook, they own my brain. Then of course, after I did that, I'm getting ads for new boats, and that's what I'm looking for, an old crappy used boat. So we want to go for Killer B Guitars, right?
Killer,
spelled the way you'd
B.
expect. Oh, the letter
Killer
B. Okay.
B Guitars. So it's Killer letter B Guitars on Facebook.
So no EE. We saved money on the EE. We don't want the EE.
Right. Well, it's Kevin Butts. It was my
nickname.
Oh,
right. Well, I noticed your shirt is your
that was the new logo I made, KB. And then it didn't go so well, so I went back to the old logo.
It works. It works for me. And I'm telling you,
guys wanted the old logo.
Well, that Stinger guitar of Scott's, when I go to his house, I see it. It's in our promo. It's your guitar is in the first ever episode of Guitar Tales.
I know, and that's why I'm so glad I got to do this today, because I'm just like, I'm honored that Scott contacted me, a couple months ago, and this is just fantastic. And I will send you videos of my guitars, things like that, and I'll post them online after the video, and I'll link that stuff on the video.
Perfect. Perfect.
Show off, because we don't have time to show off all the guitars. I've got too many.
Yeah.
I can't show my shop. I can't show it, but maybe you and I can get together.
Absolutely. Well, by the way, I'm way overdue for Memphis. Like I'm telling you, like every so often I have to go there. I have to sit in BB King's and watch the house band. I'll go to Rendezvous and get some ribs, and then I get fried chicken there. I love your fried chicken down there.
It's actually pretty good, yeah. But Rendezvous, I can't stand that place.
Well, I know it's commercial. It's commercial. I know it is. But like when I visit, I like to go there.
All right.
It's a big institutional place. I know. I'm sure. When I'm there, I know the insiders aren't going there.
Right. Yeah, we don't go
there. It's gigantic. I know. But I still like to go there. But all right,
I don't like walking down the alley to get there.
No, I know it is kind of weird, and it's 2 stories, and you're eating on styrofoam plates and all that kind of stuff. But and I'm 99% of the time I'm a gluten-free pescatarian, but if I'm there, I'm eating dead pig and things like that. So,
well, man,
anyway,
this was an honor. Thank you so much for letting me go, and I know the lighting is not great because unfortunately I couldn't stay in my other room, but I just want to thank you so much, and I appreciate your time. And if you want to get with me on other stuff, I'll show you my shop. And if you come to Memphis, you let me know you're coming, man. I'll be here.
Absolutely. You
have an open visitation. So
I appreciate it. That will happen, by the way. It really will. So,
okay, good. Well, I actually went to go see, we went to New York a few years ago, and I went to see, I know you're probably have to cut this off. You have to edit this part.
We'll cut off the middle. We'll keep this. We'll cut off a little bit of the middle.
Okay. But I went to New York, and Rosario came to see me. We went downtown New York. So we went to dinner in New York. I tried to get Scott to come, but he couldn't make it. And it was just a fantastic experience being there. And I love being in New York. I'm from Massachusetts.
Oh, all right. Yeah. I'm born in Brooklyn, so I'm a sort of native New Yorker. Yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Northeast. You know?
Yeah, right. You're still a northerner by birth. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I call Indiana home. I was born in Chicago, but I ended up being raised in
Yeah.
Massachusetts. So,
Right.
but
There you go.
I actually lost my train of thought of what I was going to tell you. But anyways,
Matt,
thank you.
me coming down to Memphis, appreciation for the show, and it's reciprocal. Like we've been dying to get you on the show, so we feel the same way. I feel the same way. So does Scott, and our friends at Riverview feel the same
If
way.
you want me again, and you know, it'd be really fun one day to get to another
What's that?
booth and argue back and forth.
That would be. We could do a panel show with luthiers. That would be kind of fun.
Because I'd be like, no, you're wrong, or I'm right, or you're wrong, or no, actually that makes a good sense. You know what I mean? But because there's so many guys that make these guitars and they charge $5,000 to $6,000. And I'm like, how do you get doing that?
Right.
But then again, they probably have overhead and a shop and, you know, like
Right.
Nordstrom. We can't put this on air, but Nordstrom, I love their pickups. But man, he charges so much for his pickups. It's unreal.
Wow.
So when I first started this, I'm one of the few luthiers that went out and actually sought to get dealer pricing.
Wow.
You know, a lot of these luthiers, they buy stuff on eBay. No, I'm direct with all my Fishman, EMG, DiMarzio. I'm direct with all of them. Hipshot, I don't pay retail prices. I don't pay eBay prices. That's why my guitars. You know, I worked really hard on making those relationships. And
Well,
when
that's
I went
great.
every summer in Nashville, because I can't go to California, I can't afford that.
Right.
But I go to Nashville because it's only 3 hours away. And I'd go there, and I was a guest in a booth, but I met the right people and I got to build the relationships. And that's what you have to do if you want to be a luthier.
That makes sense.
There's no sense in paying $100 for a pickup when you pay $20 for a pickup.
Well, and I'll take this a step further. And then I do have to cut us off because I'm feeling bad for poor Monica who's going to have to edit this. But in every field, I'm a lawyer. It's all about relationships. On this show, that's a bootlegger amp. It's about building relationships with people. And what you're doing
with me to show them, but I'm using bootlegger strings now, so I've got them.
There you go. Well, listen, this has been really fun. And you thanked me, I want to thank you, and we all want to thank you. Scott Guitarmacist Engel wants to thank you, Riverview Studios, and me, Dave Cohen. So for you folks who are enjoying these shows, go on any form of social media. We're on Amazon Prime, we're on cable, which through Xfinity, we're on Central Jersey cable network, which is beyond exciting right now. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, just any kind of search on any form of social media, Spotify. We are audio only. If you want to listen to us as a podcast, enjoy it, have fun with it, and everyone have a good night. Take care.
Take care, man.